This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
I'm not late, you're late. I have no show prepared either. I'm completely unprepared. I'm freeballing. Avalon, what's going on? We're doing the VMAs later on tonight. I'm more excited about that, and I'm far more prepared for that than I am the actual show with the news and shit. But we'll find out what that news be doing for a little bit, and then we'll rock out with our cocks out, watching some MTV VMAs, all the performances from last night. I put them all on a playlist. I tried to spread out the shit for the old fogies. Busta Rhymes, Mariah Carey, Lady Gaga. That's kind of like sprinkled through the night. Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Nuno Bettencourt, their tribute. A Youngblood and their tribute to Ozzy Osbourne. Spread that all out for the old fogies. Yeah, sorry I'm late. It happens sometimes. But we're here now. Welcome. It's the Troll Patrol Live. Avalon, good evening. Where's Warlord? I'm sad I don't see him. We're going to find out what that news be doing for like an hour. And then we'll do MTV VMAs from last night. Sabrina Carpenter, Doja Cat, Lady Gaga. I have no idea who won what. The Trump note to Epstein has been released, and it looks exactly like the artist rendering that we've been showing for months now. Amazing. Supreme Court ruling in favor of Trump. I say, where's Warlord? All of a sudden he's over here putting X's on my videos in the Discord. Oh, there he is. Hello, Warlord. Holiday. What list, Holiday? I forgot what we were talking about. Are you on the Epstein list? I hope not. You don't seem like the type of person. I'm not sure what list we're talking about. The VMAs are going to be awesome. We're going to have a lot of fun watching the VMAs. I'm more excited and more prepared for that than I am Troll Patrol, so sorry. But we'll still do fun things. The Epstein list. The Trump letter looks exactly like the letter that we saw an artist rendition of. How long ago has it been? Back in June? The White House is denying it's his signature. This is the drawing. This is the actual drawing. Hold on. Do I still have? This is. His boobs are not as good as the artist's rendition were. This is what we guesstimated it looked like based upon the description of it. This is the actual birthday card. Oh wow, Flash, you are correct. The artist rendering assumed a more mature model. The real thing is clearly a young girl
Now with breaking news on ABC News.
Wow.
Reports the Republican-led House Oversight Committee receiving new documents and communications from the Jeffrey Epstein estate. The committee issued a subpoena to his estate seeking banking and financial records along with flight logs and calendars and a copy of that alleged birthday book that the Wall Street Journal reports was compiled for Epstein's 50th birthday. The Journal reporting that the book contains a letter and a drawing from President Trump. The House Oversight Democrats now sharing that image that they claim to be this said letter. The White House denying the signature on it. The president also denies writing the letter and filed a $10 billion defamation lawsuit against the Journal's owner. Our ABC News Washington, D.C. Bureau Managing Editor Catherine Falters following the latest. And ever since they subpoenaed these estate documents, you've been following this very closely. So what's the latest here that we've learned from this batch of documents, Catherine?
So the latest, Kana, that we have is that letter that was allegedly signed by Donald Trump and included in a birthday book for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday that was allegedly sent to him back in 2003. Now, remember, the Wall Street Journal reported on this letter, did not have or publish, rather, the letter at the time. So what happened here was the Republican-led House Oversight Committee issued a subpoena to Jeffrey Epstein's estate.
Okay, are you guys ready? Are you wanting to see the signatures? This top one is the letter to Epstein. This is a letter to somebody named Conway. Who was the Conway? This bottom one was a letter to Hillary Clinton when she won her Senate seat. You tell me, is that Donald Trump's signature? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Did I post this on Twitter? I got it off of Twitter. Are you saying Twitter doesn't know about it? I think it's trending right now. Donald Trump's signature. There you go, my friend. Give him a test.
Subpoenaed the estate for the birthday book,
smug look on his
some
face,
financial records and other documents, and then got them returned to them today. And this letter was included in what they received. Now, the letter has been posted. It's right there on the screen. It's been posted on X by the House Oversight Democrats, who say that they received this letter from Jeffrey Epstein's estate when these documents were turned over today. You could see Donald Trump's, what is allegedly Donald Trump's signature there on the bottom. Now, I will say that the White House is disputing that is his signature, but the reality is this is the letter that we are now seeing for the first time since that report from the Wall Street Journal back a couple months ago, claiming that Trump did in fact sign this letter that was included in that birthday book given to Epstein for his 50th birthday.
And we mentioned some of the other things that they subpoenaed in all of this, but a lot of the focus, Catherine, is of course on this letter. And as you mentioned there, the White House seemingly trying to use that signature here in their mind as proof that he didn't do this.
That's exactly right. That's what at least the deputy chief of staff at the White House is posting on X, a post that's been then retweeted by the White House account. He's saying, Taylor Budowich is saying that that's not his signature and saying that it's defamation. He's posting a number of photos of other photos of Trump's signature, claiming that those don't add up to the signature that is on this page released by the House Oversight Democrats. We'll see what the White House says more officially through any statements. Kana, I'm curious to watch for what Trump says in court. Remember, he is filing this lawsuit. You mentioned at the beginning here, this lawsuit. It's down in federal court in Florida. He's suing the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch for this, for defamation. But now the image is out there. Do they use that same defense in court? Does Trump in his personal capacity also file papers with the court and claim that it's not his signature? We know that the administration sometimes says things publicly that they don't represent in court, or they represent something differently in court. Who knows if they'll do that here? But the point is, it will be interesting to see what the official response to the court is when that time comes, as it relates to this letter as well.
It certainly will be, as he tries to distance himself from the late Epstein. Also curious to see what comes out of these flight logs, calendars, and as well as the financial money trail there. Catherine Falders, our thanks to you.
So I guess that's the big story of the day. The other big story is the collapse of the French government. The French Prime Minister is gone after, 6 months on the job? This is the second time they've ousted their Prime Minister in just the last year.
Alex, we are going to take the results live. Let's take a listen.
194 against 354. The National Assembly has not approved. 194 for, 264 against. The Prime Minister must now tender his resignation to the President.
The Prime Minister has been ousted.
Well, there we have it. You are with BBC News live from Paris, outside the French Parliament, as France's Prime Minister has fallen in a vote of confidence. He has lost the confidence of the Parliament building behind me, with 194 MPs voting in favour of François Bayrou and 364 MPs voting against.
François Bayrou.
Government falls. He becomes the second Prime Minister ousted by Parliament in the space of 9 months, and the sixth Prime Minister lost to President Macron. He will now have to tender his resignation to France's President Emmanuel Macron. He is expected to do that tomorrow.
We've been here before.
The country faces yet more political paralysis. Can the president find a new prime minister to command the confidence of the parliament building behind me? Does he dissolve parliament, leading to snap elections? Or what other path is open to him? This country, the second largest power in the European Union, plunged back into political paralysis at the worst possible time, with wars raging on Europe's borders, with the Trump administration in the White House upending the transatlantic international order, and France now looking increasingly rudderless. So just a reminder, 194 MPs have voted against François Bayrou's government inside Parliament. 364 MPs have voted against it. So François Bayrou's government falls, ousted by a confidence vote. Let me bring in Alexandre Kouchner, a journalist and political analyst here in Paris, who has been with us unpacking this story. Alexandre, this was expected, wasn't it? But it is a very, very big defeat for François Bayrou.
Yeah, the defeat was expected. The numbers are surprising. It means that even from within the central coalition, probably from the Conservatives, Les Républicains, some MPs voted against François Bayrou. This means that within the presidential coalition, the so-called Bloc commun, there are already clear cracks and clear divides, which sort of muddies the water even more. You know, who can you now trust? Because even from within this own coalition, he didn't have all the votes. Now, is this a surprise? No. Does it bring any solution? No. Now it's on to Emmanuel Macron to
is Macron in trouble?
Name a prime minister or call for snap elections. Then again, it doesn't solve the two main problems at this time. The one is the problem of Emmanuel Macron's doing, a hung parliament. The second is trying to put not an end, but maybe just a dent in the ever-ongoing debt crisis in France. Let's
find out how we got to this point. where they ousted their prime minister. Macron may have to call elections. Apparently, a debt crisis has been going on.
This Monday will be a big day in French politics. Prime Minister François Bayrou faces a confidence vote in the National Assembly.
This is before the vote we just watched.
French President Emmanuel Macron will then need to name a new prime minister, the third within the past year, though he could also choose to step down or dissolve parliament and call once again for new elections. Bayrou's downfall was sparked by opposition to his austerity budget, with France facing an end-of-year deadline to pass a new budget for next year. For some insight into all of this, we can speak to Richard Verly, correspondent and columnist for Swiss paper Blick. Richard, good to talk to you.
Flash, I know, it's maddening.
Good morning.
First, what's your general feeling going into this vote tomorrow? Do you find that there's any suspense at all?
Well, if you listen to observers, if you read the media, there is no suspense at all. I mean, it's been done. François Bayrou will lose the confidence that he requested himself from the National Assembly. A majority of the deputy will vote against this government. And in the minutes to come, he will have to go to the Élysée Palace and present his resignation to President Macron. A survival of Prime Minister Bayrou government would be indeed a political miracle, but it's very, very unlikely that it will happen.
Why was this old fuck the Prime Minister anyway?
If he loses this vote, what do you think is going to happen next?
Well, there are actually three possibilities. The first possibility, once François Bayrou has presented his resignation to the president, is that Emmanuel Macron decides to nominate a new prime minister. He can do so, and this new prime minister can even be François Bayrou himself, though he said several times that he will not ask to be renominated. That's the first option. Then the new prime minister will have to find a majority for his budget, because there is still a budget to come. The budget has to come in front of the National Assembly at the latest on the second Tuesday of October, or the first Tuesday of October. So that's the first option. The second option is dissolving the National Assembly. Dissolving the National Assembly would mean that President Macron gears to new legislative election that would be highly risky for him, knowing that he has 1 year and a half for his mandate to go. And there is a third option, is to choose a prime minister outside of the political field, to go for a technician, someone who has no political color, someone who can pretend to be there only to run the government, to run the country, but still the budget question will be there. But having a technician in position of prime minister may permit Emmanuel Macron to escape the difficulty of having a majority.
And so of those options, what do you think is the most likely? Is it that third one that you were just mentioning?
I think Emmanuel Macron would be certainly tempted by nominating a high civil servant or a technician as prime minister. But that's not what the political parties want. The political parties still want politicians to run the show. So it's going to be difficult for Emmanuel Macron to convince them and to make them accept the fact that they lose the grip on power. So clearly, I think he will be forced to find someone in the political field from one of the political party. He has two possibilities there. Either he stick to the central right, what Mr. Bayrou was actually coming from, or he goes to the left, to the Social Democrat, letting them trying to form a government and to find either a majority or at least a no confidence pact, meaning that
guess which way he's gonna go.
The concerned parties will accept not to vote against the new government. As you see, that is very risky. It is a razor line that President Macron is walking in at the moment.
This all started, or the most recent round of political chaos sort of started over this budget issues. Some economists say, France's budget problems, its debt problems aren't quite as bad as Bayrou's making them out to be. What's your take on how, on France's financial situation?
But if you look at France from a European point of view, well, if you take into account what happened in other countries in the European Union, Italy, Spain, Greece in the past, France has a budgetary problem. It has a serious budgetary problem. It has a debt amounting to 3,400 billion euro, which is around 170% of its GDP. It has a deficit running around 5.4%, a public deficit. So it cannot go this way. It cannot continue. The state has to save cost and save money, and that's what François Bayrou was proposing with a budget with 44 million euros of cuts. So is that figure the correct one? Should we go for something like 30 million instead of 44? There is probably a room of negotiation. It is possible, but France has to show a way. It has to show a convincing track from the European Commission. The European Commission wants France to cut its public expenses. And I think the next government will not escape the fact that it has to cut costs once again. What is the room for negotiation? The socialists believe they can go down up to 20 million rather than 44 million. I think it's probably too less. So we will end up with a figure around 30 million, and it will be very difficult to accept for a number of political parties in parliament. At the moment, the new prime minister probably can count on around 230 deputies among 577. You can see this is clearly not a majority.
Meanwhile, there's been a viral online campaign calling to shut down the country with protests on Wednesday, September 10th. It's called Bloquons Tout, or Block Everything, and it's been described as sort of a Yellow Vest 2.0. What's your sense of who might participate in that movement, and do you think it's going to have big turnout?
It's tomorrow there, so it would be tomorrow.
Two social rendezvous that the new government will have to be very careful about.
That makes sense.
Maybe President Macron will wait.
Tomorrow to them, 2 days away
a new
for us.
prime minister. The first date is the one you mentioned this week on Wednesday, the 10th of September. The blockade all mot d'ordre slogan has come mainly from social networks, mainly from activists, from groups who have links with the radical left. Jean-Luc Mélenchon himself, the leader of the radical left, he has endorsed this day of blockade on the 10th of September. So what we might see is initiatives that are not expected. I would not be surprised.
Remember the 10th of September.
If highways are blocked, if some streets of Paris are blocked, that is the kind of thing that we may see. And it might bring some kind of violence because people will get surprised, people will go to work and will certainly not accept it. And then you have a second social rendezvous, which is more organized, which is at the appeal of the trade unions. It is for the 18th of September. Then it's a strike. It's a general strike in public service. So you have a week of tensions between the 10th of September and the 18th of September. The question is there whether Emmanuel Macron will wait and will keep François Bayrou for the moment on government running what we call the affaire courante, or will he try to replace the prime minister as soon as possible, precisely to diffuse the social tension?
All right, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks coming up here in France. Richard Verly.
I'm sure we'll come back on air commenting on France, and the situation is not good either politically or socially.
Yeah, we're planning to speak to you quite a bit in the coming weeks. Richard Verly, thank you.
We keep seeing governments falling, like in Japan. That can't be a good thing. In Argentina, though, the elections that we talked about last night did not go in Milei's favor.
To what extent was this provincial election result a surprise to investors?
Scarlett, this was a big disappointing surprise for investors. Javier Milei's government in Argentina is really now...
I'm sorry, I picked Bloomberg.
Point. This vote in the province of Buenos Aires, which is Argentina's most populous, was seen as a bellwether for the national midterm race in late October, where Milei's party needs to perform well in order for Milei to implement more market-friendly reforms that investors are looking for. In the provincial vote yesterday, investors had hoped Milei's party would be within about 5 percentage points of the Peronist opposition party, but instead they lost by nearly 14 percentage points. Milei could still make up some of the ground in other provinces during the October midterm race, but this is going to be much more challenging after a big loss in the province of Buenos Aires.
So what does this setback mean, Patrick, for his economic agenda?
Well, in the near term, investors are going to be looking at how Milei reshapes his economic agenda and his political agenda. He really focused last night in his concession speech about reshaping his campaign team and his campaign messaging, but he said he would firmly keep in place his fiscal, currency, and monetary policy, which has really brought the Milei economy here with rising unemployment yet low inflation. So what's going to be tested in the next few weeks is Milei's currency policy, whether the peso, which is seen by many as strong, if not overvalued, can maintain this pace as it's facing a sell-off today. The peso is down more than 5%. But going forward, investors are really going to be seeing if Milei can convince them that he's got a better campaign message going into the October midterms, because he's facing a culmination of setbacks. It's not just the vote in Buenos Aires. His sister and top advisor, Karina Milei, is also facing bribery allegations. The economic recovery is stagnating, as I mentioned, with rising unemployment and wages that are trailing inflation. So he really needs to change the narrative before the October midterms. And investors are going to be seeing if Karina Milei continues to call the shots for his campaign.
Let's listen to Milei's speech following the loss last night. See what he had to say.
Movimiento en el búnker de la Libertad Avanza.
A ver.
Están arriba, ahí viene, parece.
Hay ministros, está Sturzenegger, está Petri, está Cunio.
Sí. Está Manuel Adorni.
¿Está Caputo? No lo veo. Sí, no lo veo a Caputo.
Ahí no. Ahí está.
Está Federico Sturzenegger, está
Lugones, Patricia,
Pareja, Cunio,
Adorni.
Lugones, sí.
¿Martín Menem está?
Sí, Martín Menem.
Martín Menem.
No está el Toto, ¿no?
No está.
Bueno, a ver.
The love fest we got going on here.
¿no?
Look at him in his duster.
Y Karina Milei, subió con Karina Milei, obviamente.
Suben los dos hermanos, ¿no?
Ahí está Caputo por primera vez arriba del escenario, ¿no? Primera vez que lo veo a Santiago Caputo ahí.
Claro.
Thunder Monkey, welcome in.
Arranca el presidente.
This is the president of Argentina, Javier Milei. Following his party's resounding loss last night. Good evening to everyone here. A big thank you to the prosecutors who are still working, and to everyone who has worked hard in this election. What we must be clear about is that, without a doubt, on the political level, we have suffered a clear defeat today. And if anyone wants to begin rebuilding and moving forward, the first thing they must accept are the results. And today the results have not been positive, and we have suffered an electoral setback, and we must accept it. I like the purple. La Libertad.
Al mismo tiempo,
at the same time,
when
one looks at these results that are now emerging, what is clear is that they performed in line with what is typical in executive type elections. That is to say, they have put into this election the entire Peronist apparatus that they have managed for more than 40 years, and that they do so very efficiently. And therefore, as we've been pointing out repeatedly, this was going to represent the floor for us and the ceiling for them, because basically they made the elections that they could make possible because their positions and their districts were at stake. Therefore, this is a foundation from which we will begin working ahead of the national elections on October 26th. Naturally,
a medida que vayamos completando todo,
as we complete all the results,
esto va a dar lugar
this will lead to a deep analysis of the data and, naturally, will lead to a deep self-criticism where we will correct those things where we have made mistakes. There is no option to repeat mistakes. Looking to the future, we're going to correct all our mistakes.
Por otra parte,
on the other hand,
más allá de este resultado,
beyond this election result,
también quiero
I also want to
señalar a
point out to all Argentinians
que el rumbo
that the course, carumba,
en el año 2023,
the course on which we were elected in 2023 will not be changed, but rather will be redoubled. Who is this lady right here? She can be my GOP mommy.
Vamos a
is that his lady?
Defendiendo.
We will continue to defend fiscal balance tooth and nail. And with everything we have, we will continue to maintain strong monetary restrictions. We will maintain the exchange rate structure to which we committed to the Argentine people. We will continue to redouble our efforts in our regulatory policy. We will continue to redouble our efforts and further improve our human capital policy. Human capital. We will continue to maintain our defense policy. We will continue to fight insecurity through. So basically, he's staying the course. Got a clear and resounding victory and has decided to double down. That's Javier Milei, the president of Argentina. I hope you enjoyed me translating. Trump handed 2 huge wins at the Supreme Court today. Of course he did.
Tom Homan saying that they're still uncertain if the National Guard will be deployed to that city, but certainly a surge in law enforcement. And it's not the only immigration headline that we're following here on this Monday. Supreme Court was busy laying down some judgments, some rulings, including on Monday as they cleared the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations in Southern California in a 6-3 ruling, lifting a restraining order from a judge who found that roving patrols were conducting indiscriminate arrests in Los Angeles. Of course, this year on Live Now from Fox on social media from Kelsey Reichman saying the Supreme Court lets Trump resume those raids targeting Latino, Spanish-speaking, and certain workers in a 6-3 working. Sotomayor saying the order is unconscionably irreconcilable and also the nation's constitutional guarantees. Let's be joined right now here by Kelsey on Live Now from Fox from Courthouse News. Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us. And obviously not a ton of explanations in terms of what we saw.
No!
Do they have...
That has been a huge criticism of the Supreme Court. They are handing down these decisions without explaining the rationale. Lower courts are calling them out in an unprecedented move because, like, how are we supposed to interpret these rulings when you're not explaining your reasoning behind them? And the reason they aren't issuing their reasoning is because they have no logical reason.
The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to resume sweeping immigration enforcement stops in Los Angeles as part of the president's campaign to carry out mass deportations of people in the U.S. unlawfully. So I want to bring in CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camila Montoya-Galvez.
Damn right, Flash.
The story
because the Federalist Society told me to.
Can you break down the ruling
Ducky, welcome
by the
in.
High Court?
Don't forget, we're doing VMAs here in about an hour.
Giving the Trump administration yet another legal victory on immigration and its efforts to carry out what the president has promised will be the largest deportation operation in American history. The High Court, through this ruling, is suspending a lower court order from July from a federal judge in the California area that had prohibited federal immigration officials in that region of the country from conducting what advocates called roving immigration arrests that relied on certain factors such as somebody's race or ethnicity, the fact that they were speaking Spanish or English with an accent. That order
No hablo español.
Border Patrol and ICE officials to have reasonable suspicion that somebody is in the country illegally before moving to deport them, and it blocked officials from relying on 4 factors during these operations: somebody's race and ethnicity, the fact that they were speaking Spanish, as I said, or English with an accent, their occupation as a day laborer, for example, or their presence in a location like a Home Depot parking lot. And of course, we have seen in Southern California over the past months really controversial immigration raids, including at Home Depots, that advocates say have been indiscriminate in nature. The Supreme Court is allowing those operations for the time being to continue, but I should underscore, Mugo, that the minority of the court issued a scathing opinion authored by Justice Sotomayor. She said, and I quote, "The decision is yet another grave misuse of our emergency docket. We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work in a low-wage job." So clearly, this is a really divided court, but for now, it's yet another legal victory for the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign.
Yeah, it sure is. And let's stay on the topic of raids here, because South Korea says it has reached a deal with the U.S. to release more than 300 workers that were detained during an immigration enforcement raid at a Hyundai plant in Georgia. So what are the details of this agreement, and what happens next when it comes to those workers who were detained?
Well, Mugo, as we discussed last week, this was the largest single-site enforcement operation at a work site for Homeland Security investigations, and 475 workers suspected of living and working in the U.S. illegally were detained by immigration authorities and state officials helping those federal agents. We understand that more than 300 of those 475 workers who were detained were nationals of Korea. Now we understand that the government of South Korea, as part of a bilateral agreement with the Trump administration, has agreed to send a charter flight here to the U.S. to pick up those workers so they can return voluntarily to South Korea. That would avoid the legal deportation process that could involve civil penalties, Mugo, and that could exile these workers from the U.S. for up to 10 years. So this could be a more diplomatic way in the eyes of South Korea to handle the situation. It also avoids having their citizens remain in ICE custody indefinitely, Mugo.
Okay, Camila Montoya-Galvez, thank you so much for
Is her name Mugo?
CBS News took a closer look
Fred, welcome in.
on the deployment of National Guard troops in Washington, D.C.
What's happening, Heathers?
Our polling team broke it down by party. 85%
Word up to all the Heathers in the chat.
They favor the move compared to 93% of Democrats who oppose it. A majority of independent voters, well, they also oppose the deployment. Then look at some of the hypotheticals here, because CBS News asked how Americans would feel if the president deployed troops in their local neighborhoods. 61% of people say they would not approve of that. We also asked if the deployment of National Guard troops affects the rights and freedoms of American citizens. 54% of people in favor of the deployment say their rights feel more secure, and that's compared to 64% of people who oppose the deployment saying their rights are less secure.
This Supreme Court decision may be a prelude to even more ICE raids taking place in LA and cities all over the country.
Other top story here today, LA's mayor and other top leaders are responding now to the U.S. Supreme Court decision to lift restrictions on immigration stops across LA. NBC4's Conan Nolan live right now in downtown LA with more on what this means and the messages from city leaders. Conan.
That's right, Colleen. City leaders, the mayor of Los Angeles, outraged. We'll have her comments in a moment. This was a 6-3 decision from the conservative majority of the U.S. Supreme Court, which essentially overturns an L.A.-based lower court, which last month and earlier had said that immigration and customs enforcement agents could not use, at least in the 7 counties of Southern California, somebody's language where that immigrant worked, a car wash or a Home Depot or a construction site, whether they spoke Spanish or not. Said any kind of combination of those elements were a violation of the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable searches and seizures. But the High Court on an emergency order said no, it is not a violation of the Fourth, at least temporarily. They will hear the arguments, the pros and cons over this whole issue later. But for now, immigration and customs enforcement can go back to what they were doing with those roving raids or those roving enforcement actions at various, again, Home Depots or car washes, for example. The mayor of Los Angeles had some very strong comments about this just a few moments ago in the Westlake district at an anti-ICE rally.
Justice Sotomayor said it best in her dissent. She wrote, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work in a low-wage job. Rather than stand idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent." And I agree with her, I dissent. We all dissent. And let me just say, we
all dissent for ice cream.
To this issue, to our community, we will not stand for this type of discrimination and racism.
A spokesperson for Immigration and Customs Enforcement said that this was the proper ruling. ICE agents had been following the law. They're going after the worst of the worst, getting murderers and rapists off the street who are here without authorization. The High Court, in its majority opinion, said there's nothing that prohibits an immigration agent from engaging in a conversation with somebody they suspect may be in the country illegally. But speakers at this rally, including the mayor, says it's often not a conversation, but rather an incarceration. Conan Nolan reporting live from outside the City Hall in the Civic Center. Back to you.
All right, Conan, thank you. And Governor Newsom released this statement after the Supreme Court ruling. Trump's private police force now has a green light to come after your family, and every person is now a target. But we will continue to fight these abhorrent attacks on Californians.
Well, the court's decision impacting Latinos, both U.S. citizens and undocumented, and many say they're just worried. Meanwhile, organizers behind some local Hispanic Heritage Month events say they're taking precautions. NBC4's McCollum Medina live in Long Beach to explain. Mac?
Oh, Michael, Hispanic Heritage Month starts in about a week, and at least here in Long Beach, the Latino Restaurant Week is taking some precautions to increase their protocols. Meantime, we talked to a Long Beach man who was actually pulled over by agents back in June when the immigration operations first started. He worries it could happen again.
This is what the world's coming to now, to, point over anyone who's brown at this point.
Daniel Franco was pulled over in Long Beach last June near a U-Haul store. That's when agents started operations across Southern California.
They asked if I was undocumented. Of course I wasn't.
The U.S. citizen says he was shocked to see agents randomly questioning people who he believes were profiled because they look Latino, although DHS disputes that.
And I was pretty pissed, mad, angered.
Of course they dispute it.
Unprecedented situation, and it creates a lot of uncertainty.
Attorney Carlos Hernandez believes the Supreme Court decision has opened the door for more Latino U.S. citizens in Southern California to be questioned and detained. The
Good evening, friend. I hope you are doing well.
Are a prime target for the Trump administration. It believes close to 2 million undocumented immigrants live in those counties. The Immigrant Policy Institute estimates L.A. County has nearly 1 million undocumented immigrants. Most of those immigrants are Latino, and Hernandez says with nearly half of the overall population also Latino, it'll make it tricky for individual agents who he says the Supreme Court decision gives discretion to determine if someone is a citizen or not. As we saw in Montebello in June, Brian Gavidia and Javier Ramirez, 2 U.S. citizens, were detained during an operation at a tow yard, despite telling agents again and again they were citizens.
One of them literally just tells them, hey, just get him, he's Mexican.
Hernandez says all Latinos in Southern California should be prepared with documentation that shows they're either a citizen or legally allowed to be in the country.
We're at the papers. Please, part of the fascism.
Recognized. It's an ID that will.
As Flash said earlier, failing an open book test
by the federal agencies. Obviously, passport cards.
It's chilling, right? People are afraid to leave their homes. They're afraid to
go
about their business.
Mike Fox with the
goddamn Cato Institute is saying this.
DC says it'll be at least until September 24th before a longer-term preliminary injunction is considered, which means immigration operations could continue through Hispanic Heritage Month. And organizers of events like Latino Restaurant Week in Long Beach says they are beefing up protocols to not only allow invited guests in, but not allow federal agents that do not have a signed warrant from a judge. Other events like the Grito at LA City Hall and the Muertos Art Walk on Olivera Street are expected to continue as planned.
I might have to carry a passport just to, prove them over and over that, I was born here.
For Daniel, he fears the next...
You should have to carry a passport in the United States.
They'll go after us.
That is absurd.
Until it ends.
Latino immigrant businesses are also bracing for what's next. They're also trying to recover after the procedures started back in June as well. We're live in Long Beach. I'm Akama Medina, NBC4 News.
Mac, thank you. Right now on our NBCLA app, we have put together a special section dedicated to immigration. You're going to find links to some of the other stories we've covered.
I bet you have. Let's hear from one of the Supreme Court justices. She's on a fucking book tour. She's going to defend her decision to take away women's rights to choose whether or not to be pregnant. Though she has been surprisingly good in some rulings.
During her 5 years on the Supreme Court, Justice Amy Coney Barrett
has been 5 years.
Watch voices on the bench. Ahead of the release of her new book tomorrow, Justice Barrett spoke with CBS News senior correspondent Norah O'Donnell in a rare interview, a wide-ranging conversation that included the court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade and the impact it had on the country and her family.
In Justice Amy Coney Barrett's office.
Oh, the impact it had on her family.
Abigail.
Really?
There hangs a portrait of someone the 53-year-old mother of 7 calls the most influential woman of the founding era.
I like to think she would be pleased if she could see that she had 5 children, and she was a mother to many, that I can be simultaneously a mother and a justice on the court.
Fitting for a woman considered to be the most influential justice of her time. She was a key vote in the court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade back in 2022.
And the fact it was a woman.
The Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs gave that decision to the democratic process and to the states. It didn't roll back rights. It didn't render abortion illegal, unconstitutional, or anything else. And in fact, many states have very fully protected abortion rights, even more than under the regime of Roe, since the time of the decision in Dobbs.
But it rolled back a federal right to abortion, or constitutional right to an abortion.
Well, what it said was that the Constitution had not protected the abortion right under the Due Process Clause. And it said that Roe had been an error, and Casey had been an error to hold otherwise.
It was that decision that led to increased security measures for Justice Barrett and her family.
When I became the, let's say, not so proud owner of a bulletproof vest, one of my boys saw it and said, "Wow, is that what I think it is? That is so cool. Can I try it on?" Thinking this is a parenting moment that I wasn't quite prepared for. I said, "Sure, go ahead." And he puts it on, and then he looked up at me and he said, "Wait, why do you have a bulletproof vest?" So, we've tried to explain those things to the kids, and they've been troopers.
And has that ever caused you to think about leaving the court, that threat to your security or your family's security?
Wonder Monkey, I would say she's an incredibly intelligent woman.
What a moment. What a moment there. Nora joins us now. That's a fantastic interview. And that anecdote,
Was it?
The bulletproof vest, really brings home the stakes here. And we have, in the near future, some key decisions that could come down on the Trump administration's use of power, and the court could potentially check that power or not. What do
like the ruling we got today.
I think that is the central question, right? The Constitution set up these three separate co-equal branches, just to remind everybody what we learned, of course, in school, right? Yeah. And of course, the executive and
I don't know that everybody did learn in
political branches. And she's trying to remind people that the judicial is the non-political, right? But people have cast doubt on this Supreme Court because it is a
I don't think Mike Johnson is all that intelligent.
And with Congress in the control of the Republican Party, will this Supreme Court check that
okay, maybe I want Amy Coney Barrett to be my
people voted for him. He is pushing those limits of executive power, and this is going to be a fascinating term coming up. We've got everything from transgender rights, redistricting, tariffs, obviously very big for the business community and all across America. And so she's trying to stress that they look at each case on their own and they decide them, and that she, in her mind, is an independent thinker, is the words that she used.
You know, Nora, it's so rare that the justices give interviews. I was so fascinated when we saw the family pictures. I come from a family of 4. She's got 7 kids. So I'm like, wow, that seems like a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And they adopted 2 of their children. What was your biggest takeaway from that? I'm fascinated.
They're really humanizing her.
This job and have 7 children
Which
at the same time and be married.
Realize this is CBS Mornings. It's supposed to be the lighthearted show. It's not supposed to be. That's why you have Gayle King and Nora O'Donnell. So, like, to be fair, we need to put it in the context. This is your breakfast show, and it's not supposed to be, turn your stomach, hard-hitting reporting. But still, man, they're kissing up to her.
The things that come with that.
Well, at the beginning of that piece, we showed Abigail Adams in her office. Abigail Adams was a mother of 5.
Wow.
Back when, of course, she said to her husband, hey, remember the ladies, John Adams, when you're writing the Constitution, because women had no voice.
Yeah.
No
you had to have 5 because
Adams would be proud of where we are today.
The odds were like 2 of those 5 would die.
Amy Coney Barrett's votes, questions about women's rights in America.
Things were different back in the day.
She has talked about how being a mother influences her decision, and it certainly, I think, is different to see the Supreme Court, right? To see, now we have Justice Ketanji Jackson, the first black female justice.
Ketanji Black.
So are they representative? But how does that change how they look at the law? And I think that's why there's so much mystery surrounding the Supreme Court and so much interest. And it is very rare that anybody gets to talk to a justice. So I took that responsibility quite seriously.
Well, we did a great...
As you always do. Listen, that was part of
the entire interview is like 50 minutes.
On Sunday morning.
And
I say, people, if you haven't seen it, go online.
Well, and there's a 54-minute extended version you can find online as well. People are interested. Nora, thank you very much.
What else can we promote?
I'm just saying, it's a good conversation.
You were promoting Amy Coney Barrett's book is what you were doing. But it wasn't all wins today in court for Trump. An appeals court upholds E. Jean Carroll's $83 million judgment against Trump. Is this Tom Lama talking about it? Let's hear from Tom Lama.
A major legal loss for the president tonight. A federal appeals court upholding writer E. Jean Carroll's $83.3 million judgment against Trump. The court rejecting the Trump legal team argument that he was protected by presidential immunity. Back in January of 2024, Trump was found liable of defaming the writer's reputation when he denied her rape claim. Joining us now is NBC News legal analyst and a good friend of Top Story, Misty Maris. Misty, so great to see you. I guess my first question is, does the president have another chance, or is this it?
Well, it's going to go to the Supreme Court, Tom, or at least that's what the president is going to ask. Because this is a typical civil case. Obviously, it was unusual because it involved Donald Trump. But it's not the type of legal issues that you generally see go to the Supreme Court, except the immunity decision. Remember, landmark decision in 2024 came out, identified where presidential immunity applies, and that's an open question as far as what it means for civil cases for a president.
What do you think is going to happen? Do you have any idea in the Supreme Court?
Well, I think the Supreme Court...
Will they take it up first?
I think there's a likelihood that they will take it up because of that very issue. Remember, this relates back to some tweets. He was the president. It was 2019. And those could fall into one of those buckets. buckets. Certainly not an official act, but remember, there's an intermediate bucket, perimeter activity, as well as personal conduct, which would not have any immunity. So whether or not the Supreme Court takes it up, it would absolutely be a novel issue.
Remind our viewers,
Insane.
$83 million, that's a big sum of money. You know the president's going to be monitoring this and following this as well. Do we know why the damages were so high?
So $83 million is absolutely a tremendous amount of money, and it's broken down into two buckets. One is punitive damages, punishment, $65 million, and then 18.3 was for compensatory. That's to make someone who was harmed whole. Now, generally, these types of awards, they're challenged at appeal, and that's what we saw here. He wanted to knock that down, to reduce it. But the court upheld it, and they went and looked at his conduct, and they said it was particularly egregious. And
Seriously?
They upheld that punitive damages award. The rule of thumb, Tom, is 3 times a compensatory award is generally upheld. I won't make you do the math on the spot.
Yeah.
This is about 3.6. So it's on that high side. There was an argument that it was unconstitutional, but the court looked at the conduct and said, this is the type of conduct that warrants that award.
And that the kind of language that he used during the court case and afterwards, basically saying she's too unattractive for him to have done anything to her, what she was claiming. Did the appeals court also look at that language? I mean, was that factored into their decision?
It was, and that was exactly what the appeals court looked at to say whether or not this is the type of case that warrants an award of that magnitude for those punishment damages, Tom, because that's what punitive damages are. They're for punishment, and there are factors that the court is going to look at to say whether or not that board is unconstitutional.
How long do we know till the Supreme Court may take this up? How long? Because the longer they have to wait, right, the president doesn't have to pay out E. Jean Carroll.
Right. So now Carroll won. Remember, there's 2 E. Jean Carroll cases.
Right.
That one also was up on appeal. He was not successful. $5 million reward on that one. Still waiting to see if the Supreme Court will take it up. Now that this one has gone through the next steps of the appellate process, I imagine they're going to take up both or none. And so we'll see what happens.
And we'll know that in the coming weeks, or I mean, not weeks,
Could
but
take
months.
longer. Yeah, could take longer.
Okay, Misty, so great to have you on. Always good to
Thanks,
see you.
Tom.
Thank you.
Oh, he's not at the end of it. Shut up, Tom Llama. We didn't watch it on YouTube, so it didn't have the YouTube back card. An anti-Trump sign in Dayville, Connecticut may spark a court case.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here at 4. I'm Kevin Nathan.
And I'm Amber Diaz. A battle over free speech is unfolding in the Dayville section of Killingly. The person who lives there has a slew of anti-Trump signs on his home and lawn, some with vulgar words. And shocking new photos show him with a firearm in his front yard.
It is upsetting some people in town.
Trumpstein.
That home is right near a middle school. NBC Connecticut's Amanda Pitts picks up the story from there.
They're not your typical political lawn signs. These homemade ones have some vulgar language that we've blurred.
I see it right coming down Route 12 on Run 1 too.
The signs we can show you say you wanted the felon, Rage Against the Regime, and Trumpstein. Release the evidence. They sit on and around
Trumpstein rapes kids
in the Dayville section of Killingly.
Definitely not respectful.
They've got people in this quiet town talking.
At the end of the day, it's their property, it's their right.
The house is a few hundred yards from the Killingly Intermediate School. School buses pass by it every day.
If anything, it shouldn't be around the schools, anywhere around the school.
Now, the town manager said the police department and zoning department has received multiple complaints about these signs, but ultimately it comes down to this resident's First Amendment right. In a statement, town leaders wrote, after thorough review, we must clarify that the content of the sign is protected speech under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. The First Amendment guarantees the right to free expression, including political speech, even when it is controversial or offensive to
Now that's the country I fucking love.
According to the Day newspaper, pictures circulated social media showing the man they say put up the signs carrying a firearm outside on his front lawn and roof.
Also his fucking right.
Split on the controversy.
There is that First Amendment to allow you to have freedom of speech, but it's out of respect, mainly.
We just have to remember that.
Respect for who?
People can have their opinions, and unfortunately we can't change that. And if you have an issue with something that someone's saying, You can put up your own things.
The resident told The Day that he put out this display as a way to voice his views after being shut out of online forums. Our attempts to reach him were unsuccessful.
He got banned online.
See Connecticut News.
Oh, Jesus. Here's a trial we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to. You remember the second guy that tried to assassinate the president? He's pulling a Lori Val Daybell and defending himself in court. So this should be a lot of fun. Jury selection has begun.
Tiffany, they sure did. It is a slow-moving process, as you can imagine. There are 180 potential jurors, and today the judge
Ryan Ruth
questioned the first group of 60 potential jurors, many of them expressing hardships and reasons for why they cannot commit to a 3.5-year trial. One man even telling the judge, "I don't want to be here."
Don't forget, we are watching the VMA performances from last night. I've got all the performances in a playlist ready to go. That is going to be in about a half hour.
This group of 60 potential jurors, many of them expressing hardships and reasons for why they cannot commit to a 3.5-week-long trial. One man even telling the judge, "I don't want to be here." Our Terry Parker was inside that courtroom with me today. She listened to the jurors. She joins us live now. And Terry, Ryan Ruth was actually struck down by Judge Cannon in some of the questions he was hoping to ask those prospective jurors.
Right, Felicia. Ryan Ruth.
She looked like she would be a country singer from the early 90s.
Had 12 proposed questions to show the jury, but Judge Eileen Cannon said, you know what, these aren't relevant. Some are too political, and she looks like she's going to be mostly relying on the government's questions to whittle down this big jury pool. So Ruth is representing himself, and two of his questions involved the war in Gaza and the U.S. possibly acquiring Greenland. But it was the one about the turtle that seemed the most odd. He wanted to ask potential jurors if they saw a turtle in the road, would they stop to help? Judge Cannon told him that was irrelevant, and she summed up, "Your proposed questions, sir, are very off base and have no relevance to jury selection." Ruth seemed surprised and said, "I thought we wanted to get into the mindset of the jurors." When the first set of potential jurors came in, he introduced himself and said he was sorry they had to be here, but he thanked them. He was wearing a gray jacket with red and white striped tie and khakis. His feet appeared to be shackled, and he was sitting alone at a desk up against the wall. Now, it appears from his previous filings, his exhibit list, and some of his motions that he's going to try to portray himself as this kind, caring, gentle person who's done a lot of good in the various communities in which he's lived. But some of those exhibits that he wants to show jurors might also be denied by the judge because obviously she had no patience with what she called his irrelevant questions this morning. She may say the same thing, say about his Boy Scout commendation and that type of thing that he's using to build up this defense. But it continues tomorrow at 8:30. They're going to go through some more jurors, and Felicia, we will be there and bringing you all the details.
All right, Terry
Bye,
Parker
Felicia.
live for us this evening. Thank you. Let's take a look back now at how we got to this point where we are today. It was just under a year ago. It would mark a year next week when this chain of events unfolded. It was Sunday, September 15th.
Oh, I remember.
Say, phone records show Ryan Ruth arrived in the vicinity of Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach around 2 in the morning. Roughly 12 hours later, at about 1:30 in the afternoon, Secret Service agents say they spotted a rifle coming from the bushes. The Secret Service opened fire. These items were later found in that area. Now, there is no evidence Ruth ever fired his weapon. A witness claims to have seen Ruth get into a vehicle and take off. That witness was able to give authorities a vehicle description. Ruth was then spotted driving northbound on I-95 in Martin County. He was pulled over and arrested. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office then flew that witness to the scene to positively ID Ryan Ruth. And as you can imagine, a high-profile case like this one means extra security measures in place around and inside the federal courthouse. Our Angela Rozier spent the day with, she has more on our team coverage now, with more on the efforts to make sure everyone here is safe.
Well, security remains heightened here at the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce. Officials are aware of the attention that the Ryan Ruth trial, the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump, will attract in this area.
Local and federal law enforcement officials, including agents with the U.S. Marshal Service, are busy checking the grounds around the federal courthouse. They're aware of the attention Ryan Ruth's trial may attract to the area. As of right now, police say no reports of any issues or protests.
However, we're always monitoring our systems. We're intel driven, so any intelligence that comes in, we have the ability to adjust whether to ramp up or bring it down.
He says there are no plans to close any streets around the courthouse, but they will continue to monitor the situation. The police department is responsible for all calls for service, regardless of what's going on around the courthouse. Their role is to enhance patrols in the area throughout the duration of the trial.
Working collectively with our county partners as well as our federal partners, everybody has a role to play in this, and our role is public safety in that particular area.
No reported issues on day one of jury selection, but police say if anyone sees or hears anything suspicious, immediately dial 911. In Fort Pierce, Angela Rozier, WPBF 25 News.
Don't narc.
Angela, thank you. On the day of the assassination attempt, prosecutors say Ryan Ruth was able to leave West Palm Beach and was later arrested in Martin County. You're actually looking at body camera video showing the moment Martin County Sheriff's deputies took
Ruth did nothing wrong.
in the middle of I-95.
No, I'm not as sympathetic to him as I am
with the Martin County Sheriff, as well as a major who was on scene that day. And tonight, for the first time, they are revealing new details about what happened.
Both the sheriff and the major tell us they're extremely proud of how their team handled Ruth's arrest, and the sheriff actually revealed 2 new pieces of information from that day. September 15th, 2024, known to everyone at the Martin County Sheriff's Office as arguably the biggest apprehension in the department's history.
Driver, take 2 steps to your right.
For the first time, Sheriff John Boonseek, who was undersheriff at the time, reveals what deputies thought they were responding to.
The initial information that was gathered at that time was that shots had been fired in both directions, that Mr. Ruth had fired rounds potentially towards the President of the United States, and that the Secret Service and maybe Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office had subsequently returned fire.
Later learning the only rounds fired were from one Secret Service agent.
You're slowly realizing that this is one of the most intense calls you're going to be going to, like the most high pressure situation that we're probably going to face in our careers is unfolding right now.
Major Joshua Closter remembers rushing down Martin Highway before reaching I-95.
We set up a felony stop behind cover. We're actually back there giving commands for him to show us his hands, which he did. He's putting his hands out the window.
Their K-9 unit arrived, and that's when we see this moment play out.
It was our opportunity to give back. President Trump has stood by law enforcement through thick and thin for all these years. He's been the zero tolerance on crime president. And so it was our opportunity at the Martin County Sheriff's Office to give back to him, specifically him, personally to him, for all the things he's done for us.
And even more new information, the sheriff tells us the president's son, Eric Trump, was actually driving by and watched the takedown, later telling officials how surreal that moment was for him. In Martin County, Rachel Perry, WPBF 25 News.
Well, that's fun.
Rachel, thank you. And a reminder, this was the second assassination attempt on then presidential candidate Donald Trump. During a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, Trump was shot in the ear after a gunman perched on the roof of a nearby building and opened fire. Now, that suspect was shot and killed. One person in the crowd, you may recall, was killed. That was a firefighter. That incident and the incident here in West Palm Beach created immense scrutiny for the Secret Service. It also resulted in several changes, including dozens of security reforms. Now, this is a federal trial happening, so we are not allowed to bring
Yeah, that's why we don't have cameras.
Telephones, or any type of electronic or recording devices. So you won't see any video coming out of that trial, but there is a sketch artist in the courtroom, so you will be seeing renderings of what happened in court. Reporters will be allowed to take in a pad of paper and something to write with. Of course, as I said, you'll also see those sketches from the sketch artist. WPBF 25 News will continue to bring you live coverage throughout Ryan Ruth's trial. For now, I'm Felicia Rodriguez.
Oh, you fuckers know this is going to be one I'm going to be on top of.
Tiffany in the studio.
But man, I wish there was cameras. I wish we had cameras in federal court. That would be one of the, if I was in Congress, that'd be one of the first bills I'd promote. DJ Dub, did I tell you good evening? Now that you're here, we should get high. We're less than 30 minutes away from the performances from the VMAs last night. Very much looking forward to watching the performances, but we've still got a few crazy fucking stories. I might need a content warning for this one. I'm going to have to pack another one, I think. I might have some in my bong. Curious or not, we're taking bong rips. That's why I was late. A man who called police following a shooting at a McDonald's has now been booked for manslaughter.
Good morning. Well, this was
morning.
A shooting that happened over the weekend.
Hi, Aaron. I like you.
Vehicles in a drive-thru at a
me.
McDonald's. One may have hit the other. This then escalated into a deadly shooting where a man was killed, his fiance injured. Happened at the McDonald's across the street here from me at Western Avenue and Romaine Street. You can see a growing memorial there across the street in the parking lot. Now, a poster at that memorial identifies the victim as 36-year-old Feliciano Curiel Martinez, known as Felix. You can see several pictures of him along with candles and flowers. And then in this video, you see a woman believed to be Felix's fiance. She could be heard screaming after shots were fired. Witnesses told KTLA an argument broke out after one car may have hit another in the drive-thru around 3:30 Saturday morning. During that altercation, one of the men allegedly pulled out a gun and shot another man believed to be Felix.
That happens all the time in the drive-thru.
And a woman in the leg. Both were taken to the hospital, but Felix did not make it. A witness spoke out about what he saw that morning.
I've been shot. So when I came across the street to check on it, she was shot in the thigh. But she kept asking to help her husband and to turn over their husband, help him give CPR. You're not supposed to come to McDonald's, for fries and a shake and end up on the pavement dead.
It's America!
It said the shooter may have been the one to call.
There is nothing more American than getting shot at a McDonald's.
Detained by officers. The LAPD has identified him
as part of the American experience.
Delgado, and he was booked for voluntary manslaughter.
Flash, you've been shot at a McDonald's, right?
He was acting in self-defense, but investigators have not confirmed that. The brother of the woman who was shot spoke out after, saying she and Felix were going to get married soon.
It's definitely going to take a toll on a lot of us, including myself.
Ponder Monkey shot at somebody in McDonald's last week.
We had fun. We did a lot of cool family trips together, and now it's like everything was taken in Flash.
Flash did too.
The family has set up a GoFundMe to help with expenses during this time. We're told Delgado's bail has been set at $100,000, and anyone who may have been here, who has video or who has any information, is encouraged to contact the LAPD. Reporting live here in East Hollywood, I'm Erin Myers. I'll send it back to you both in the studio.
You send it back to JustinFREAKIN in his living room. That's what you're doing, Aaron. Aaron. A-Rod. Do I have a longer? Yeah, let's. We want to see more of this than what they were going to show us. You guys like Chuck E. Cheese? I don't think I've ever been to a Chuck E. Cheese, but I said I've never been to a Bojangles, and that was a lie.
Oh boy. Oh my God. Just ask management who's in the house. Do we know his name? I don't know his name.
Happened at the end of July.
We're gonna detain the mouse, dude. Yes, we are. Do it. I want you to. Go around and ask. Go around. You want me to come in front of the kids? Yeah, grab him. Get him. Grab him, quick. Don't resist. Do not.
How do you know you got the right guy?
Let your hands go. Let your hands go. I got it. I got wide open.
Did somebody say they got molested by the Chuck E. Cheese? Take a wild guess which state this happened in. Well, we don't know what he's being arrested for. Oh, it's absolutely Florida.
Hey, he's the suspect. He stole someone's card here and he's been using it. Someone that was one of your employees, like last week or something like that.
He stole someone's car. Yeah, the kids are yelling no.
We'll have to get it back to you in a second. He's a criminal. What would you like to know?
I would like those walking out the door instead of traumatizing all these tourists and somebody like Chuck E. Cheese. Would y'all put Mickey Mouse in handcuffs?
Have a good night.
Would you put Mickey Mouse in handcuffs?
Yeah, they're called ckers. They have a purple and progress. They're fellas, please.
787, you can come around in the front. Does this come off, man? Does this just come off the top? I want to hurt you.
I work here.
There you go.
I'm just
I
doing my
understand.
job.
I understand you work here.
What the is this about?
We're going to talk to you.
We're gonna talk to you in a second.
How does this come off, man? Is it just like a normal?
Can I get that? I gotta take this back. This is my work stuff.
Okay, we'll take care of that. Yeah, we'll do it. Put him in the car and read him, and then go from there.
Man, what is
Search him as
going
best you
on,
can.
man?
I know he's probably got internal pants, but.
Oh, sorry, man. Very good. Wait.
41-year-old Jarrell Jones,
Just pat him down for now.
charged with theft of a credit card, criminal use of personal identification information, fraudulent use of a credit card totaling over $100.
Alrighty, sir. I'm up to Thur.
This was in Tallahassee, Florida.
For detaining Chuck E. Cheese.
Too bad. Statements about material matters given by witness will be. I'm sorry, this guy's important.
Try not to.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have them present with you while you are being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent.
Lenny, good evening. You think Mickey framed him?
Decide at any time you exercise the right to not answer any questions or make any statements.
I don't think the rat was innocent, but yeah, they probably shouldn't have arrested him in front of the kids. You didn't have to do that. You could have asked him to step outside.
Neighborhood meat market. You went there multiple times.
You did not have to put the handcuffs on him right then and there and traumatize the children.
My own car. That's it. So you do go to the meat market then? I go there, but I don't use nobody's car but my own. When's the last time you went there? The meat market? A few days ago. A few days ago? Okay.
They're asking him about a car.
It's my own. Nobody
He was charged with credit card fraud.
They take cash out. They take cash out there? Okay. What about the time savers too? Cash out. Cash out. So you
Cash out. Oh, this cop is laughing his ass off over here. I can't blame him.
Okay. Time saver.
They got gigantic ears
The paper stuff?
on the back of their cruiser.
Never with the card. Okay.
Okay, so let me give the manager at least a helmet, so I'm not trying to add.
Yeah, you should just went in, asked for the manager, been like, do you have an employee by the name blah, blah, blah? Please ask them to step outside.
He's a little bit busy, ma'am. Chucky, come with me, Chucky. Come on. Come with Chucky. Chucky, stop resisting. Stop resisting. You're being detained. Stop resisting. Let it go. Let it go. Do not cause a scene here, sir.
I got
Yeah, the cops are definitely the ones causing a scene. Does that Dance Dance Revolution?
Come on. So we're on this way, sir. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to talk to you in a minute, okay?
That place looks horrible.
gotta do our job.
That doesn't look like fun at all.
It's not my call, ma'am. I'm going to talk to you in a minute and let you know what's going on, okay? All right, that's fine. I got you.
I'm working, entertaining kids for a living.
I got you, buddy. Come over here.
I got you, buddy.
Just gonna poke me, stick me, stab me. You got anything on you? I'm gonna pat you down, okay?
Leslie, good evening. I don't know shit about fuck. I was looking to see if I've got a cat handy I can just grab. I don't see one. What's going on in baseball right now? I keep seeing videos of people being jerkasses at baseball games. Tonight we're going to meet the Phillies Karen. The Phillies Karen.
An update on the internet's newest villain, the woman that they call Phillies Karen. Home run into the stands at the Phillies-Marlin game on Friday sent fans scrambling, hot potato, like everybody's at a barbecue, and then suddenly, is that a cat? Whose cat is that? I don't know, just get it. So a dad scooped up the ball, took it back to his son, and then a woman races over.
Okay, I've heard about this.
And demands the ball from the child.
What is wrong with this person?
Eventually, the dad gives in and ends up handing over the ball. Some are defending her. One commenter said she's a sweet old woman and dad took advantage of her lack of agility. The ball landed, I guess, near her.
Okay, so
that happened to me once.
Okay, so
Someone took
people are
advantage of your lack
saying
of
that
ability?
she was closer and she should have gotten it.
So the deal was that it rolled under her seat.
It landed near her. She did not catch it.
Yeah.
The rules are at a ballpark, when
Right.
it lands near you, everybody, it's
That's
a
right.
free-for-all.
It is a
Yes.
free-for-all.
Whoever gets it, gets
And
it.
also, once you see that it's been given to a child, you go, okay,
Why
great.
do we live in a world where
Right.
adults get to act like this?
And take
it's
things from children.
crazy. So she took it. They gave it to her. The internet, of course, running wild with hate against her, an effort to identify her, get her fired.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Well, it seems to have been a fluke to dox her because the woman who they thought this was posted on Facebook that she was getting harassed. It wasn't her. She's actually a Red Sox fan.
Oh, now they're really after her.
I know. Rumored to work at also debunked the dox, saying that she was never employed at the school in New Jersey, and anybody who worked for the school district or even lives in the community would have obviously caught the ball barehanded avoiding the
Nice.
The kid didn't leave.
That's hilarious.
Marlins gave him a swag bag with an autographed bat, and the dad later told NBC he wanted to be an example for doing the right thing. That's why he gave the ball back.
Yes.
But whack.
It's just,
What a weird.
So it worked out great for everybody.
All right.
U.S. Open tennis guy.
Yes.
I just want to say,
That guy.
I know this is impossible, but I did think, because I'm a lunatic, is this a setup? Is this one of those ball game sketches? You know, when like the person starts dancing on the Jumbotron and then look, the peanut guy can dance.
Yes, we keep getting these stories about people being jerkasses at ball games. I've got to wonder, are they doing it for internet clout?
It's like crazy too.
No.
That would be
not
very
a
hard
setup.
to create.
Very cynical of you, Andy, but I don't.
You got to be cynical nowadays.
She acted, you know, but no, it was just, and you only saw the back of her head, really.
Right. And
So-
speaking of that back of the head, what a haircut.
Oh,
She looked gorgeous. She looked like the aunt that molested me.
Her already over the weekend, but we wouldn't know what you think about this. You can
a silver fox that could be my GOP mommy.
Message on Instagram at AndyKTLA. You can DM us. We will play or show some of your messages.
I want to see it again.
Internet's newest villain, the woman that they call Phillies Karen. Home run into the stands at the Phillies Marlin game on Friday sent fans scrambling, hot potato, like everybody's at a barbecue, and then suddenly, is that a cat? Whose cat is that? I don't know, just get it. So a dad scooped up the ball, took it back to his son, and then a woman races over and confronts the dad and demands the ball.
What?
From the child.
What is wrong with this person?
Eventually the dad gives in and ends up handing over the ball. Some are defending her. One commenter said she's a sweet old woman and dad took advantage of her lack of agility. The ball
She does exactly look like an old lady.
Okay, so
she got gray hair.
That she was closer and she should have gotten it.
So the deal was that it rolled under her seat.
It landed near her. She did not catch it.
Yeah.
The rules are at a ballpark, when it lands near you, everybody, it's a free-for-all.
Yes.
Whoever gets it, gets
and
it.
also, once you see that it's been given to a child, you go, okay,
Why do we live in a world where adults get to act like this?
And taking from children.
Crazy. So
Have you seen the world you live in?
The internet, of course, running wild with hate against her, an effort to identify her, get her fired.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, it seems to have been a fluke to dox her because the woman who they thought this was posted on Facebook that she was getting harassed. It wasn't her. She's actually a Red Sox fan.
Do it again.
An update on the internet's newest villain, the woman that they call Phillies Karen. Home run into the stands at the Phillies Marlin game on Friday sent fans scrambling, hot potato, like everybody's at a barbecue, and then suddenly, is that a cat? Whose cat is that? I don't know, just get it. So a dad scooped up the ball, took it back to his son, and then a woman races over and confronts the dad and demands the ball.
What?
From the child.
What is wrong with this person?
Eventually the dad gives in and ends up handing over the ball. Some are defending her. One commenter said she's a sweet old woman and dad took advantage of her lack of agility. The ball landed, I guess, near her.
Okay, so
that happened to me once.
Okay, so
Someone
people
took
are
advantage of your lack
saying
of
that
agility?
she was closer and she should have gotten it.
So the deal was that it rolled under her seat.
It landed near her. She did not catch it.
Yeah.
The rules are at a ballpark, when it lands near you, everybody, it's a free-for-all.
Yes.
Whoever gets it, gets
And
it.
also, once you see that it's been given to a child, you go, okay,
Why do we live in a world where adults get to act like this?
And taking
it's
from children.
crazy. So she took it. They gave it to her.
Yeah.
The internet, of course, running wild with hate against her, an effort to identify her, get her fired.
Well, I don't know about that.
I was trying to find an animal video. So what's going on? We're going to be watching the VMAs from last night, the performances. Soup! You handsome fucking man. This is a puppy that somehow noticed he was being recorded and smiled at the camera. Let's get over to the freaking fun time, and then we're gonna get high, and we're gonna watch. I'm absolutely gonna smoke with you. But let's switch over. Let's say goodbye to the YouTube people and the podcast people, the Troll Patrol audience. Let's move over to just Twitch only. What an adorable little baby. So say goodbye to YouTube people. Kick, Rumble, D-Live. We'll see y'all later. Goodbye, podcast. Good night, Moon. Good night,